of 2022? I think so. Frank, you make me nervous when you touch things. If it's crooked, touch it though. So we're without Mike again. Mike is down with Sergio in Atlantic City. We're supposed to fight for the Ring of Combat title today at 145 pounds. His guy weighed in almost 8 pounds over. Almost 8 pounds over. So Mike actually made a good suggestion to the promoters and to the opposite corner. Just like, listen, let's keep the fight clean. Let's make sure it's fair. So you can weigh in he weighed in 152 point something, 7, I believe. You know, but tomorrow, today meaning, you have to weigh in 155 because he was so far over. Yeah. And they didn't want to accept it, so the fight's off. Sergio looked good. So anyways, we got Frank behind the camera. Guys, I have a really good topic. I think I have a good topic. I hope you agree. So the topic, you know, it kind of got me thinking. So last week's episode, we talked about, you know, how to finish perfect armbar from the guard. Forget what the setups were. What I want to talk about is, when do you cross your feet when you're armbarring people? So guys, start asking questions. If there's live questions, they take priority over anything we received before. But let's talk about, when do you cross your feet when you're armbarring people? And if you guys have any answers, start firing away. So when I'm armbarring people from the guard, I rarely will cross my feet. So first I got to clear Enrique's hands off my torso. So with no-gi, it's relatively easy. So right now I will cross my feet because I will cross my feet again. My objective is to make sure this right shoulder stays inside the lap and the bar is tight. It's here. So if I try to unlock this, Enrique can just drive through and basically eliminate the whole setup. So again, I will cross my feet if his shoulder is out. So if I'm doing top lock armbar, I will cross my feet. If Enrique actually pulls or moves his head, I get it over. I uncross my feet. Okay? So I will uncross my feet because my objective now is to make sure I keep him down and his posture broken. Look what happens when I cross my feet over here. You change sort of the direction of the pressure. So what happens, it's very difficult. So I'm driving my feet sort of diagonally away. The reason for that is I'm trying to keep his posture broken to make sure that I have enough time and my hips go up. Now, if I cross my feet, what happens is I'm trying to meet, and now he can sort of start to drive and stack me. So again, generally speaking, from the guard, I'll do it on the other side now. So again, when I'm going for top lock armbar, I will cross my feet because his head is inside the lockup. Okay, so I'm preventing his shoulder, in this case left shoulder, from driving in. I can finish very quickly and very easily. If Enrique pulls his head, or if I bring my leg over like a traditional armbar, I will uncross my feet because now my objective is to try to drive diagonal direction to make sure his posture is broken and I can arch into it. If I cross my feet in this instance, it immediately changes the pressure that I'm trying to keep him down and sort of away from stacking me to suddenly enabling him to stack me. So immediately that changes sort of the armbar pressure. And generally speaking, if you cross your feet and the guy's head is like it is in normal traditional armbars from the guard, and you cross your feet, chances are you're going to lose it. So there's one other time that at least I can think of off the top of my head, is when do I cross my feet? And that's when I'm armbarring from top side control. So I'm going to go to this side so they can see. So when I'm armbarring somebody from top side control, and Enrique decides to lock up. So now I will pull, and I will cross my feet. Can you rotate, please, for me? So why am I crossing my feet? Gentlemen, guys, do not re-grip. All right? I will keep this grip. I'm just trying to illustrate the point, but this is the grip I started with. That's the grip I'm going to keep, because anytime you re-grip, that's a chance for them to defend better. Except in this case, because I cross my ankles, it's difficult. So the reason I'm crossing ankles. So my hips are controlling Enrique from pulling his arm straight out. So go ahead, try to pull it out. Very difficult. Now, cross ankles prevent him from spinning around, do the hitchhiker or reverse hitchhiker. So that's why I'm crossing my feet. And I will splay my knees because right now I'm trying to keep him down rather than bring him together. But I will cross my feet. So generally, once I'm here, once I get the entry, if I have to use the bolt cutter grip to open him, it doesn't matter. Go close to the wrist. And then now, once I lay down, I still keep my feet crossed. And the reason for that is making sure he does not go into hitchhiker mode, escape. But now I start to bring my knees together to make sure I cut any possible twisting angle. So this is the other instance where I will cross my feet when I'm arm barring or arm locking people. Very important for you guys to remember the distinction. Unless you have a top lock arm bar, do not cross your feet when you're arm barring people from your guard. One other thing I want to show. So again, there's also an arm bar from a triangle. The reason for that one is there is not a lot of real estate, so it looks like I'm crossing my ankles, but I'm not. So let's say I triangle Enrique, and now he starts to posture up. So in this case, it looks like I'm crossing my ankles, but I'm not. If I cross him, you can allow him to stack you and twist you. Again, so it looks because I'm not, my right leg is not under his arm, over his head. So it looks like I'm crossing my feet, but I'm not. I'm focusing on bringing his head down and keeping him away from stacking me. All right? So again, that one is not an instance of crossing our ankles. Very important, guys. A lot of times, this could make the difference between you finishing the arm bar and the guy stacking you, passing your guard. Now you fight from the bottom side control. Frank, do we have any questions, check-ins? Do we still have video?
Yeah, people were questioning it's back, but now they realize that it's back.
Okay.
We're back.
Mike, please. No more traveling for you. So let's look at the top side control again, because I think that's another good one. There's a lot of. So as I'm going side control, again, I will, right now, I'm focused on keeping him down. I will make sure that I reinforce where he is in his defense, and I'm going to cross my ankles. This is the time, again, I'm crossing my ankles. I will not remove this arm. The only reason I'm removing the arm, I want to show you that, again, Enrique cannot pull his elbow down, and he cannot do hitchhiker escape. So if he decides to do hitchhiker, reverse hitchhiker, this generally controls them. This is what you want to do. One of the reasons people tend to fail with a lot of submissions is because they're latching off the limb without controlling your opponent's position and posture. Right? How are we doing this on the live section, Frank? Go ahead. We lost something?
No.
All right, guys. I didn't want to go to this, but somebody asked me a few weeks ago to talk about DARCE, and I don't like that topic. The reason is because
Especially not today.
yeah, especially not today. Maybe we should skip it or do it.
Really, yeah.
So, guys, the DARCE is a good submission. By the way, I saw the Gary's match, and just for whatever it's worth, it did not look like Gary. You know, I know the brothers had really good DARCEs, really good jiu-jitsu, but this did not look like Gary. It was not his mobile self. You know, again, to me, he's always, you know, a fighter. He's always a entertainer. He's always game to fight, and one of my favorite jiu-jitsu guys, but did not look like him. But anyway, so let's go into the DARCE. It's a, you know, let's talk about a little bit about the history. So guys, you know, when you get, you know, some people get all gung-ho about the names. This is my pet peeve. Mousetrap and electric chair and lockdown. You know, when they get all like hardcore about, no, this is the name.
Diesel's squeezer.
These are squeezel. So when people go hardcore to name, so the Darce is called after Joe DiArce, who actually was going around. He was in Vegas at the time and training with people, and he was catching a lot of people with it, and they called it Darce. But the guy that was actually playing with it, and I think he taught it to Renzo's, I think at the time he might have been maybe a purple belt or maybe a brown belt, but you know, it was John Danaher. You know, it's possible that it's, you know, it's almost like a reverse anaconda. It's possible that somebody else, Bravo Choke, there's a lot of people that might come up with things independently. Doesn't mean that they might have invented it because then nobody showed it to them, but maybe somebody else was using it before. But anyways, the reason why it was used, you know, called the Darce is because Joe, but the reality is John was coming up with it, and he was showing it to people, and that's how it became effective. It's a very effective choke. There is a lot of different ways to do it, and the most important thing is also, once you're in it, it's very hard to escape, especially if the guy tries to kind of roll underneath you and kind of stays with you. And you know, the Rotolo brothers have very long arms, so it's you know, once they latch it, it's very difficult to escape. I mean, some really elite guys got caught with it. But I'm going to show you the way I do it, and then I'm going to attempt to escape. So what I do is I will pull Enrique's head up. I cup it to make sure that there's not a lot of travel time, so it's not, I cup it, make sure it's deep, and now once I lock it. Now, if I lean to Enrique's head, this becomes more of a crank on the neck. If I go square and use my chest to compress down, this becomes more of a choke. So I'm taking my sweet time. Guys, anytime you can go deeper, if you can go almost like wrist deep, this is going to be very strong. Guys, I like to press down with my chest, so my left arm in this case controls Enrique's carotid, okay? But my chest pushes down on his own carotid. So I'm using my chest like a compression press. If you've watched any of the other episodes, when I do the single-handed, one-handed guillotine, again, I use my chest. And guys, when you do any types of choke constrictions, you use your chest quite a bit. So a rear naked choke, it's not just this, it's you're pushing your chest into it, you're constricting, you're making that hole as small as possible. Same thing with guillotine, same thing with arm triangles. Everything involves your chest. So this is my favorite way to do the Darce, is to go in, one more time. So when I'm controlling, go in, lift his head up. Now, I'll transition from north-south. I want to step over that arm, and now I'm going to use my chest to compress down. Anytime I lean to his head, this becomes more painful and more cranky. But I like to get a clean constriction. All right, now let's go over a possible escape, guys. It's difficult. Once it's fully locked in, you know, especially if you got a strong guy, it's hard. So if I'm getting caught in it, so what I need to do is I need to go flat, and I'm looking to bring my arm underneath his torso to the other side of his torso. That, you know, it's still, you're in a horrible position. Well, bad position, but you should be able to escape this. But again, the timing is before he pushes his chest down. So if I cannot retract that arm, now it's going to be misery. So again, if I get caught in this, if I read this early on, so before Enrique gets a chance to push this, shuts it down with his own torso, I'm going to try to bring my elbow to the other side and go flat. From here, you got to pay attention. I'm going to try to look towards him so he does not go into north-south choke. So I want to make sure my head is turned towards him, and then I start to battle from this position, you know, whatever I can do. It's not going to be that easy. All right, well, let's look at it one more time. Now this time, what you're going to do is, we'll see, you know, how far I get with this. Is when he starts to kind of almost sort of start to sit out and trying to make sure that that arm remains trapped. We have not had Fox go out yet on the episode. So as I'm coming out, yeah, start to sit out. Come on. Ah, I got it. I got it. Oh, are we doing this? Are we doing this? Are we doing this? Oh. So, if I can get that elbow across to the other side, I can escape. Guys, trust me, it's not easy. I've been caught with this, especially with a guy that I was like, oh man, he doesn't have it quite right. I think I could escape this. And then guys went off, just like, things start to close down. So,
if you have any question, guys.
Favorite attacks from De La Hiva, and also avoid getting stacked from when you're doing a triangle choke on someone.
They have questions.
they have questions. All right, let's go with the triangle. Do it my way. All right, I'm going to lighten up on it. Go ahead, stack me. Go ahead, stack me better. Create an angle that he cannot stack you. It's done to me in Europe where guys will try to stack me. If you underneath him, he will stack you. If you lined up with him, he will stack you. If you 45 degrees, he cannot stack you. If he stacks you, he will literally roll over his own head. You're going to wind up mounted. If you lined up, you're going over your own head. It's very uncomfortable. Potentially could be an injury, but it's very uncomfortable. If you're lined up, he will stack you. You're going to go over your own head. 45-degree angle, he can stack you. If he stacks you, you can roll over, but because you're angled, you're not underneath him, he's going to roll over his own head. You're going to wind up with the triangle, and you're going to wind up mounted with the same triangle. Once you create an angle, this is why I advocate, guys, I teach triangles. Everybody thinks they know triangle. I had a question for a room full of people, 50 people on the mats. I said, guys, who has a good triangle? Who knows triangle? Well, everybody knows. Everybody knows. And, one-stripe white belt knows a triangle. Who's very effective with it? What I mean by that, when you go for a triangle, you finish at least, I like to look at effectiveness. If I go for a triangle that it's 50% effective is minimum sort of solid submission rate. I'm looking 70, 80%. But I said, guys, at least 50%, you go for a triangle, you finish at least 50% of the time. Literally in that room, I think 2 or 3 people raise their hands. Why? Because everybody knows triangle. No, they don't. You know something that looks like a triangle, but if it's not effective, you need to change the way you triangle people. When I hit a triangle, if I had a reverse triangle, the only person that, generally speaking, possibly escapes is Enrique, although he figured out a counter after how many years?
Like 4 years of getting triangle.
Now, so he hit a counter on me, but I now have a counter to his counter. All right?
I need another counter, guys.
Yeah. But generally speaking, once I lock a triangle, how often do you escape?
Once or twice.
Out of
10.
Max. So the point is, if you're having low success rate with your triangle, it's not that the triangle is bad. It's just that the way you do triangle is not effective enough, and you need to get that better. And triangle is highly effective if you know how to use it. And there's a lot of little details. I was watching in my mind, he's the GOAT in Jiu-Jitsu, and Renzo Gracie. He's, Nogi, ADCC, Gi, MMA. And, people call this game basic. Well, basic, it's fundamental, but there's a lot of details that go into it that make it effective. In one world championship, he finished, I believe, 7 or 8 black belts. elite world-class black belts with a cross-collar choke. Everybody knows cross-collar choke. How could a not elite black belt not stop it? They could not. Why? Because the way he does things is so precise and so fundamentally sound that it works. You can do that same thing with the triangle, guys. Again, if your triangles are not effective, it's time for you to look into a better way. Frank, how much time we have? And do we have any other questions?
Counters to triangles.
So guys, if you do it my way, literally the only counter is to step over, which I'm not gonna let you. Okay? If the guys do a crappy triangle, it's posturing up, but maybe we can cover that next time. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next. Oh, hold on a second, Frank. I know you're itching to get out of here, but all right. So, guys, we will see you next week. Episode 21. Guys, share, like, subscribe, and so I'll see some of you. I'm going to check in 3 weeks. And I'm going to Sicily in 5 weeks. So I'll see some of you guys live. See you next week.